Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Natalia. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm so happy to have you here today. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between succeeding and failing, what makes the difference, how we can be successful. And this is very important because a lot of us have set goals, and you know that most people, they give up on their goals within the first 90 days of making it. So a lot of people that have made New Year's resolutions, they'll give up by March. Why have they given up, and what can help people to succeed? So let's get started. What will help us to succeed in our endeavors and in our doing things is if we change the way that we view failure. To me, failure is when we give up, is when we set out to do something and we stop trying because one of these three things happens. We either mess up, we make mistakes, or it doesn't go the way that we planned. When those three things happen, that's what we tend to view as failing. We think we failed at our goal, we're complete failures, and we give up. So I don't believe that if we mess up or make mistakes, we're failures. I think that when we stop trying and when we stop putting in the effort, that is when we have failed. Let's talk about a few adjustments that we can make. One of those adjustments is going to be adjust our mindset. So we cannot expect ourselves to do everything perfectly all the time. No one is perfect. No one is going to do everything perfectly the first time that they set out to do it, the first time that they try. That's just unrealistic. That's not possible. And so really these mess ups, they're really just opportunities for us to try again, to get better at. If we fall once, we're going to just get back up and we're going to be able to do it better. So that's why certain mess ups are actually welcomed and they're just going to be a part of life. And it's something that is going to help us. It doesn't make us failures. It's just part of the little bumps on the road to our success. So as the more that we see it that way, the more that we will actually continue to go on that road and we will reach the success. Most of the time people give up before they get there, and that is what causes people to fail. It wasn't the messing up, it was the stopping. So even for example, I read the other day that Oprah Winfrey, she was fired from her first, I think it was broadcasting job. Oprah was fired, guys. Think about that. Now, the billionaire woman that a lot of people look to advise, everybody respects. It's insane, right? Oprah is like a major name. She was fired from her first broadcasting job, and now look at her. What was the difference between her succeeding and her failing? Why did she not fail even though she was fired? How is she still successful even though she was fired? It's because she didn't give up. She didn't let that one bump stop her career. She did not allow that mess up to prevent her from continuing to try, just saying, I'm not good at it, I can't do it. Instead, she viewed it as an opportunity to improve and to continue trying. There are so many other people that have maybe similar stories to Oprah. We don't know their names, we don't know about them, and why is that? Probably because they gave up in the process. The reason we know about Oprah, the reason we look up to her and respect her, is because she kept going and she did not allow that one setback to get in the way of what she is now. And now she has an amazing career. She is a billion-dollar woman. She is just looked up to, right? And that is because she continued going despite all of the obstacles, despite any mishaps or failures. And she's not the only successful person that we know that has been fired, that it didn't go right the first time. They had to adjust a lot of things. We change our mindset from being perfect and expecting ourselves to do something perfectly the first time. That is going to set us up better for success. Recognizing that we may not succeed on the first go, and that's okay. That doesn't mean we have failed. Just because we don't succeed the first time, it doesn't mean we're failures. It's more of a process and it can take time. So also adjusting our expectations. We cannot expect ourselves to do it right the first time. That's just unrealistic. Not only that, we have to expect ourselves to mess up. So not expecting something and then actually expecting something, we are going to mess up. That is just the reality of life. When we're setting out to do something, and think about the situation we're in, we are actually setting goals to do something. So what does that mean? That means we are not already doing it, or we are not already good at it, and that's why we want to improve. The largest room in the world is the room for improvement. So recognizing that to improve, it's going to be a little bit hard for us. If we were already doing something, we would not need to work on it. So recognizing that we made a goal for a reason and that it's going to take some time. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to mess up, and that's okay. I think it's so important for us to embrace that we make mistakes and that we mess up, because once we embrace it and we're able to just view it in a different way, that's what's going to help us to continue going and not give up. If you start viewing making mistakes or not keeping on track with your goal as something that in like a negative manner, and you start calling yourself a failure, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to want to keep trying. You're not going to want to keep going. That's because you've already told yourself you can't do it, right? And you've told yourself you're a failure. So instead, when we make a mistake or when we mess up, if we fall off the wagon, whatever it is, if we just tell ourselves, hey, I didn't do it the whole time I planned to. I didn't keep the promise, the goal that I set out as long as I intended to. But I did do it for a certain amount of time, because let's be real, we do keep our goals. If people within the first 90 days of making their goal, if they just recognized that they actually kept their goal for, let's say, 80 of those days, and the last 10 they kind of fell off, that would give them the motivation to retry, right? So let's just do this hypothetical on be walking 10 minutes a day. Let's just keep it simple, guys. Let's keep it easy, simple. Okay, so you make a goal on January 1st that every day for the year, you are going to take a 10-minute walk. What happens January, February, every day you do keep that goal and you take that walk every day for 10 minutes. Then comes March, and by March 15th, let's just say, you have still kept that goal, but March 16th is the first day you don't take that walk. You kind of start feeling bad, right? I made this promise, I'm gonna keep it every day for the year. I didn't do one day, oh my gosh, I'm a failure. And then you kind of like, okay, I'll just try again tomorrow. But already you've called yourself a failure. You've already made this situation and the goal negative. You've already believed you can't do it and you've made a mistake. So what's going to happen on the 17th when you go for that walk? Okay, you might do it, but your mind is already at war with the thought of this goal. So now comes the 17th, the 18th, the 19th, and maybe you take a walk on the 17th, but the 18th, the 19th, the 20th, you're too tired, you can't do it, something comes up. Okay, so now you really feel like a failure. You just decide to give up on the goal. I can't do it. I messed up. It was a dumb goal in the first place. We start blaming the goal. We start blaming, but really the goal was a good one, and you were able to keep it for, try and do the math. Let's just say 80 days of the 90 days, right? You were able to keep that goal. So instead of viewing ourselves as failures and abandoning what we set out to do, let's just view it as an opportunity and let's learn from it. Let's also try again, guys. It's going to be so amazing when you view it positively. You say, I kept 80 days of the 90 days so far. Isn't that amazing? I may not have kept all of them, but I kept 80 of them. That is already better than you were doing last year, right? You set this goal out because you wanted to either walk more for your health, just get out of the house, whatever it is, you set this goal and you kept most of it. And you should be proud of yourself for doing that. You went from not walking at all to walking 80 days straight with this goal. So kind of appreciating the successes that we have. And so by the 90 days, let's say you haven't walked for 10 days. On the 91st day, try again and recognize that you can do it. You have already done more than you were doing last year. You can just try again and you can probably keep it this time. Each time you're going to get better. Each time you will, as long as you don't give up, as long as you keep trying, you will end up succeeding. So by the end of the year, as long as you don't give up, you may have walked 300 of the 365 days. And that is amazing. That's way more than you probably did last year. Recognizing that we can be successful. We can do what we set out to do. And it may not be perfectly the first time, but it is possible. So you've walked 300 of this 365 days. Let's say you set the same goal the next year and you keep it for the next year, because you're building the habit, you're building your resilience, and you're building your ability to keep the goal. If you appreciate your successes and you see where you did good, that's going to motivate you to keep going. That is what is going to help you. Sometimes the other thing is to adjust our approach. So the definition of insanity, it's been said, is continuing to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We cannot make a mistake or mess up in a way and try to do it again in that same manner, because what's going to happen? It didn't work the first time. It's not going to work the 100th time, right? We're just going to be insane people trying to do the same thing with the same results. That's just not going to work. So sometimes when we mess up or when we make a mistake, the best thing to do is to step back, take a pause, evaluate what happened, what went wrong, what can I do better next time? And an example of maybe what it will take to adjust our approach, let's keep on the hypothetical of walking every day for 10 minutes. So maybe you were walking all of those days, you were succeeding, all that, and then it starts getting hard. Perhaps you're more of a night person and you made the goal to walk every day in the morning. So instead of the few mornings that you sleep in or something comes up and you're unable to keep it, instead of just giving up on the goal, why don't we just adjust it? If you're a night person, take the walk at night for those 10 minutes. And I know it sounds so simple, and that's this goal in this example is so clear and simple, and that's why I'm using it. But it's honestly, when we kind of think of ways that we can actually adjust in our goals, it's going to help us. Because sometimes the answer is there, and sometimes it is an easy fix. It's just a matter of changing the way that we are doing it. So as long as we just kind of think in that mindset, like, I can do this, I have this goal and I'm going to succeed. I'm not going to be perfect, but I will succeed. Now let's just figure out how we can do it. It said we need to set ourselves up for success, and that's how you do it. You have to set it up. You have to think about anything that can come in between you and your goal. You have to think about the types of goals that we're setting. That's going to help us to set ourselves up for the success, is making sure that our goals follow these 5 things, that they are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So they have to be specific. It can't be vague, because what's going to happen is it's going to be easier to not do. When you set it very specific, you're setting your intention very specific, and it's going to be easier for you to keep. Also, along the lines, if it's specific, it's going to be easier for you to manifest that specific thing. So I'm all about anything being very specific. They have to be measurable. It has to be something that you can look back and say, did I complete this? Did I achieve this? Did I do what I set out to do? So making sure they are measurable, that's going to definitely help with your mindset, with your motivation, feeling positive, and being successful. Then the third thing is making sure they're attainable. So is it something within your power to do? So let's just take an example. Let's say you set the goal out to walk every day for 10 minutes, but you have a broken leg. That's not something that you're going to be able to do. That's not very attainable. So maybe adjusting that goal so that way it does fit within whatever it is that you are actually able to do. Because if you set a goal that you're unable to do, that's going to come back and that's going to make you feel worse about yourself because you weren't able to do it, but you kind of didn't set it up in a way that you could do it. It's just not right. So make sure it is attainable. Then also keeping it relevant. Make sure that it is something that is relevant to your bigger goals, right? So you want to be a healthier person, you want to lose weight. That's why you're setting the goal of taking a walk every day. Make sure it is relevant to you, your purpose, what you value, and what it is that you're setting out to do, the way you want to change your life in general. These other goals, as long as they are relevant, they're going to help you. You're going to feel more successful in the overall scheme of things and in your overall life because you're setting goals that you can do that will help you with your bigger goals. Then the last thing is to make sure it's time bound. So set a specific goal. And that's why in the example of the walking every day for a year, that is set for 365 days, right? By the end of the year, my goal is to do this. Or you can start smaller, like my goal is to walk every day for the month of February. That is time bound and you are able to do it. Cool. Let's use the SMART goals and let's do it with this example of walking. So I am going to walk every day for 10 minutes for the month of February. It was specific, it is attainable, it's measurable because you can look back in the month or you can have a tracker making sure that you did it, and it's relevant to your overall health goal, and it is time bound. Using this example and using these SMART goals is what's going to help us to be successful. It's going to help our mindset, it's going to help the way that we are doing things. It's just It's honestly, to me, I think it's the best way to set goals. I think it's like the only way to set goals, because when you follow all of those 5 things, it just makes the goal easier. It breaks it down, it gives you the who, what, when, where, why, and how of a goal. So follow the SMART goals in the process, along with all of these other adjustments that we talked about. So the more we continue trying, the more that we see what we can do better, the more we're going to be better people. We're going to grow. We're going to be happier too, because how many people feel like failures and are happy? None, right? There are none. No one who feels like a failure or thinks they're a failure or thinks they have failed is a happy person. Happy people are people that have continued going, have overcome the adversity, and they have come out successful on the other side. Those are the victorious, happy people that we usually see or look up to, that we usually learn from, respect. We're like, wow, look at them, right? That can be you. That can literally be you. And that's because you have the potential and the capability just like any of those people. Oprah was just a person. She is just a person. She's just a person that kept going and that learned from her mistakes and didn't allow a lot of the things that she went through to mess her up. It's insane the amount of things that Oprah went through, all of the trials that she had, all of the unfortunate circumstances and things that have happened to her. She has talked about them. And yet again, she took those and kept going. She did not give up. And that is honestly the most beautiful thing ever. That's what creates successful people, is people that just keep going. Like, I cannot emphasize that enough. I wonder how many times I've said that. Like, can someone count and drop it in the comments? Because it is just so powerful to not give up, to keep going, to continue trying in our goals. And these can be small goals, these can be big goals. You know, it can be a goal like taking a walk every day, a 10-minute walk, half an hour walk, whatever it is, to running a marathon by the end of the year. Whatever the goal is, it is possible to do and achieve, whether it is earning some extra income to becoming a millionaire or billionaire. These things are possible. It's just not going to always happen right away and on the first go. And that's okay, because most of the time, the most rewarding things are not the easiest things. And that's because there's a lot of things that we have to learn along the way and a lot of adjustments that we have to make in order for us to get those things. So viewing all of these things as opportunities, and I'm becoming so passionate about it because I truly believe that if we just keep going, guys, there is so much to look forward to, and there's so much hope, and there's so many possibilities and things out there. It's just amazing. Kind of along the lines that I mentioned it, but I just want to put it to its own area. Some of the times, the things that will need to get fixed or adjusted is us. And that's why looking inside ourselves and being self-aware is very important on our road to success, because we need to see the type of things that we may need to change. So we may need to be more resilient. Getting back up, that may be a quality that we need to learn on this road to success. On our path to success, we may need to just become more resilient, more patient, more understanding. There's like a whole list of things that we could be learning in the process, and everything that is happening is there to teach us those things. All of our experiences are a combination of things to help us, really. And most of the time, what you can do is you can view any adversity or any issue, trial, problem in your life as just an opportunity. And that's really what's going to help you to succeed. Making the best of your circumstances and of your experiences in order to learn something, that is beautiful. And whether it's learning to do something different, the manner that you go about things, or it's just qualities that we need to develop. Either way, it can help us. And my own mini example of this is I was trying to film this video and actually another video on a completely different subject the other day. I tried 2 days trying to film a video, and guess what kept happening? Either some interruptions, the lighting was off, I was not in the right mindset, I was so tired, it was insane. It's like, you don't know how many times I try to film a video and it just wasn't coming together. And it was probably the subject that I was talking about that wasn't working. I wasn't feeling the subject. I may do it later. And so I had to pause. I had to stop it. I had to stop what I was doing. I had to reset. So sometimes it's also just adjusting ourselves. Maybe it's just a different time. We need to set things in a different time, and that's what's gonna help. I tried filming the video. I just didn't have the mental energy. I didn't have just the motivation to do that video at that time, right? And I just needed some sleep, really, too, was the other thing. So what I did was I adjusted my approach and I adjusted me. I had to calm down. I had to not give up though. I had to keep trying, right? I still want to upload videos. I still want to talk about subjects that are very passionate to me and that I believe is going to help someone. So I just changed the subject, started writing notes on success and failure, especially because I just learned something as I was in the process of doing that. I had to remind myself that it may not go perfectly. It's not going to go perfectly all the time. What matters is that I keep trying and that I keep doing it. I'm telling you, when I started thinking about it, that's why I was able to come up with this content. That's why I'm very passionate again to do this. And now look, things are working out, right? The lighting's good. I have the time. I'm able to talk about it. I got my notes. I got my mind right. I am on fire with this subject. And that is because I really felt it and I really experienced it. And so now I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep going and just learn from that experience on when it didn't go well and when it wasn't working out, in order so that in the future I can just pivot, adjust, and keep going. So I really hope that you found this helpful. I appreciate you watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Whew. I just had like 3 cups of coffee, so I'm pumped up, guys. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's talk about it.